Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to close out the week with something I've been dropping some hints about in the past couple of days. I am familiar with Yvette Young's work as a YouTuber in a sense. I've seen some of her guitar stuff, but I did not know she's part of a band called Covet. So that's pretty cool. We are going to check out Covet. The song specifically we're looking at is Shibuya. I think that's the pronunciation. Featuring San Holo. I don't know if it's supposed to work with the pronunciations of Han Solo, so we get San Holo or San Holo, which is how I would pronounce those without knowing that it's a play on words. So yeah, feature somebody who I'm not sure how to pronounce. Let's get into this. I'm ready for this. Yeah, that bass tone is fat. Got some nice width to it. Yeah, so just gorgeous multi-finger tapping this whole way through. We just have a really bright, uplifting, positive math rock thing going on. You know, I just started to hear the melody and it's very low in the mix. And pans. Like, it is not in a spotlight section. Nice little 6/8. You switch to. Not perfect. It's not 6/8. So yeah, that was a gorgeous way to do that. We had a nice build up, which led to the firework visual. Yeah, there's just a lot of serenity and calmness despite the speed in a lot of this. Right now it's a bit muted compared to the multi-finger tapping section. But still, even in the last section, there's still this peace and calmness to it all. Oh, we got some traditional grip on the drumstick. Oh, that 6 against 4 is real nice. It took me a second to figure out what he was doing on that cymbal. Yeah, so some really cool time switch ups. Nice. That was a really cool emphasized run there. Yeah, that right there. The da 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 da. Yeah, so they broke up the traditional. They were doing 3/4, and they turned it into 4/4, so they had to fill an extra bar, which is where they found space to put those little runs there. So yeah, that was really cool. Yep, I was waiting to see if they were going to do that. I was going to make a comment about that. That the music video was very cool until you realize that this guy was drumming on the edge of a cliff in front of an ocean in a green suit. Oh man, but they beat me to that one. Yeah, so some really cool math rock stuff going on in there. um, I'd say that a lot of the musicality of it sort of hampers around this bright, serene, multi finger tapping. And we end up hearing a lot of really cool colors and note relationships on the guitar work from that, along with a few really nice slides that adds some bright personality to, maybe not bright, like a funness, a perkiness to the music with those nice little slides every once in a while. And yeah, that main line composed a lot of that song. What I think is a bit of a missed opportunity is that I think it was around the 2 or 3 minute mark. I had mentioned that I was finally beginning to hear a melody line, but it was so muted and panned to the left that it's nowhere near the spotlight. And I think it's a shame because that core multi finger tapped riff is played throughout the whole song. It has plenty of time in the spotlight to be heard. And when they actually had a melody line, it was being drowned out by the tapping section. Um, which is just it's just a little bit of a shame. I think there was a real opportunity there to give the song some direction and a little bit of personality other than the song kind of felt stagnant a bit to me in a couple of places. It kind of has three modes. We have the multi-finger tapping, the 6/8 feel, and then that slow section in the middle. Then we go back to the multi-finger tapping section, then we go to the 6/8 feel, and we finish the song out. Um, so it's I don't know. I feel like it was just a missed opportunity to put so much focus on a riff that you can hear that's present for 2/5 of the song, 40% of the song at least, assuming each of the sections has the same amount of weight as long as far as length goes. Which maybe it's just because I was getting a little tired of that line. It felt like that part of the song had more space than the 6/8 portion. And both those sections came up twice, whereas the middle slow section came up once. So there's already some weight. I'd say at least half the song was that multi finger tap part. It had plenty of time to sit in the spotlight and have people hear it and sort of be in awe about how beautiful it is and how technical it is to play. Um, and the moment when we had some melody line to sort of go against that, the melody was longer notes and sort of juxtaposed it in a lot of very pretty ways that could have really shown through a little bit and given the song a little bit more characteristic, as well as allowing it to transition into the softer part, the more restrained part, more easily, as we had already introduced these ideas, these longer notes earlier in the song. So yeah, just a small missed opportunity, I would say, um, but not. I don't know. I was gonna say it's not that big of an issue because the melody is there. You just have to look for it. But I don't know. I think my first time enjoyment would have been higher if the melody had had a little bit more strength in the mix, and just because I would have, it would have been something else for the spotlight part of my brain. That the my ears, all ears, naturally get drawn to specific sounds. A lot of it has to do with mix or texture, timbre, stuff like that. Um, but there's definitely ways, sort of like how our eyes are naturally drawn to light, our ears are naturally drawn to specific things. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what those specific things are. I know how to guide the ear based on space with layering and stuff like that. But I've talked about how mixes help put the spotlight on things. I can't go into the details of that. I can go into the details of composition and how to draw a listener's ears through composition. A lot of that is to do with space, and providing ample space for space and volume. But there's definitely some mix elements that an engineer can do to draw attention to. And unfortunately, I would have just liked more attention on that so that on a first time listen, I would have been drawn to it earlier. And also, I could have heard more of the ways that it juxtaposed and added elements to the track that I felt were missing. Um, because not really knowing it was there until that section was almost over led to sort of a beginning section that has no momentum. It sits in the same pocket for quite some time. Um, and it's a very cool pocket. I don't want anybody to think I'm dissing that section. That riff, that guitar riff is gorgeous. It's technical. It is not easy to play. I don't even know how you come up with that. Because there's so many guitar. I mean, you would come up with it as a guitarist. There's a lot of guitar-oriented techniques in double tap and multi-finger tapping that my brain just does not go to when I write because I'm more adjusted to writing sparser sections for an instrument, and utilizing multiple instruments to fill a space rather than trying to cram 2 or 3 lines into a single instrument. So I do not want to take away anything about that guitar riff. It is phenomenal, but it doesn't change. Yeah, that's a 1 bar riff, and it exists a lot. That's all I'm saying. I wish there was something else added to it, and there was a melody line. It was just hidden in the mix. The 6/8 feel I greatly enjoyed, probably because it did juxtapose the first section a bit. It introduced a new concept, and it played around with time in a way that the multi-finger tapping section did not. I'm just going to refer to that tapping section. Multi-finger tapping is getting a bit cumbersome to say. The 6/8 section played around time a lot. I call it the 6/8 section because I think that's the easiest way to differentiate it between the tapping section. However, it was probably not in 6/8, or at least not entirely in 6/8. There's a possibility that we did a few bars of 6/8 and then ended the phrase with something longer, maybe an 11/8. There's just in their 4 bar phrase, there's a lot more than 24 beats. That's what I'm going to say there. I never quite landed what the exact work is being done with the time there. And I'm pretty sure the second time the 6/8 section comes around, it's a different way of working with the time signatures. I believe that there's a different number of beats in each pattern. So I don't I don't even think if I had figured it out on the second time around, I don't think it would have been applicable to the first anyways. There's just a lot of time-based work being done in that section both times it comes around. And I just really dig that. Um, it sounds cool. It's got a nice. The interesting thing is that it's disorienting. There's a bunch of sections where it sort of loses the ability to sort of nod your head with it because time has gotten wonky. And there are a couple of times when I was really, where's that downbeat? Where's that down? Okay, now we're back on one. Um, and then try to count again. I get to six. I get to six, and then it all gets thrown out the window, and I'm trying to find one again. And that's I kind of dig that. It turns it into a little puzzle for me. On an analysis level. Um, and I'm sure the more I listen to it, I'll figure it out. And eventually, even if you don't figure it out, the more times you listen to it, you just kind of understand what's going on, sort of intrinsically, and you can nod with it, even though you might not necessarily know the exact intricacies of what is going on with the time. I think they do a very good job at making it complex since it is math rocky. Complexity is kind of built into that, but they do so in a way that's still jammable, at least on subsequent listens. The first one, like here, is going to be a bit rough. Really finding out when you can, what beats you're going to want to bob your head on, but I think overall, after a couple listens, it's going to be very listenable, very jammable. And I like that. It's a nice mix. And then, of course, they keep it very positive throughout. So I really dig that overarching idea in the 6/8. The bridge the bridge section, it was necessary, but it really didn't do much for me. It kind of bounced off of me a little bit. Um, there needed to be something juxtaposed to the insanity of the finger tapping and then the time insanity for the 6/8 section. Something just to cool out, mellow out, go back to 4/4, and just chill, jam, get into a mood before we end up the song and return back to some of the more wild antics, whether that's performance or time based. Um, I do really like, there was one part in the second 6/8 section that felt more like 3/4 to me. I'm not sure what happened there. It could have been a drum thing. Maybe they really did switch to 3/4. Maybe it just felt more like a three pulse thing for me. But um, yeah, they switched it up to three, it felt like. And then, well, 3/4 is also just kind of 6/8, just with a slightly different feel. So that could have been it too. Um, but then they transitioned that into four beats per bar. And so they did the three beats like normal, but then that fourth beat, they added like, I don't know, a few 16th notes, just a little bit of run. And it gave them the space to put in these little bits of ornamentation after the core rhythm that they've been playing, the three beat rhythm that they've been playing. And I love when bands do that. They take something that we've heard in one time signature and apply it to another one. And sometimes they add things, sometimes they take away, sometimes they play against the bar. And that's really cool too, where they still play the the three beat phrase, but now we have maybe a drum part that's in four. And so they kind of get out of sync for a few bars until they line back up on beat 13, I think, is when they would both hit the beginning of their phrase again. Um, so yeah, it's just really cool when you see bands, like I said, take something that they've established. This is a four beat phrase, and then they toss it into a six or five or three or something, and they just kind of recontextualize the idea. That's always really cool. There's also a really interesting drum section in the 6/8 where we were getting the 6/8 feel on the snare, I think it was, but he was on the ride cymbal in four. And it took me a second to really figure out what was going on there, but that was cool. That 6 against 4 sounds interesting. Um, but yeah, that was a pretty cool section. So yeah, Covet, they got chops. I kind of figured going in because, like I said, I am a little familiar with Yvette Young. I'm not gonna say I'm a super fan, but I've heard a couple of works from her. Um, and I kind of figured this was going to be a little bit proggier in a sense, a little more technical, and I am not disappointed. I love it. There's just, like I said, they got everybody in the band's got chops. They're all putting in work, and there's really some cool things going on here. I think it's just a mixed thing that I'm not too hot on. Like I said, I think if that melody line shown through a little better, I would have really dug this. Um, and then that ending was just it was a good ending. Right, it kind of it brought everything back and then finished it out strong. So yeah, I really love a lot about this. It unfortunately didn't land perfectly on me, but I'm intrigued, and I want to see what else these guys do. I'm also curious about who does the composition work, because this is fairly similar to Yvette solo stuff that she used to put on her YouTube. Is this basically Yvette's project, but she has, a band to play it? Sort of like, I don't know, maybe 9 Inch Nails? That's a one man project, but when he goes live, he has the band to play what he wrote. Is that how this works? Where she writes everything and she just needs the bandmates of Covet to play it, or does everybody chip in with the composition? I ask just because it's so close to her solo work. I'm kind of curious where the division of composition goes on that one. But yeah, really cool video. Also, I don't usually comment on videos, but I just love the visuals they went with on this, and sort of how awkward some of these shots must have been to achieve this visual. There was one section where I think it was Yvette was playing guitar on a pier, and there were definitely people behind her just watching somebody in a green suit jamming out on an electric guitar that's not hooked up to an amp. Oh man, that's dedication. I love it. But those are my thoughts on Covet's Shibuya. Hmm. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong either way, which is a shame. If someone wants to correct me on that, they can. Also, San Holo, or San Holo, hit me up with the pronunciation of that. And should I check out his works as well? I really enjoyed some of his parts in this track. Um, and I wouldn't mind checking out more. So maybe a little bit of direction to his works. This is where you guys come in, though. I've given you my thoughts. Hit me up in the comments with your thoughts. Let me know if you enjoyed this or not, if anything or if everything worked for you, or maybe some parts didn't, like me, if you agree with some of the criticism I have, or if you think I'm just wrong and this was a perfect song. Let me know. Put it all in the comments. I'll be back description box, Patreon, Discord, links, like, subscribe, ring the bell. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC, with this weekend's special selection. We have a fairly popular band coming up on the special selection, so I'm kind of interested in that. I think it's the second time we've seen them, and then we have something that I have no idea. I don't even know what this band is. I don't know what to expect. So I think we're going to have a pretty good weekend as far as music goes. Oh, we did Agalok yesterday. And we have some Agalok coming up on special selections real soon. So maybe that's why they seemed familiar to me yesterday. I don't know. I'll be back with more stuff, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like usual. I already said that. Let's go. Remember to be critical and not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. whenever you choose to watch my videos. Till next time.